Peace, family. This is your brother, Starcrrest The G. I know I don't get a lot of views. Evidently, that's not my goal. I'm just trying to pass on the word to the few that understand or understand or overstand that I'm here and I understand where you're coming from. Again, we're going to hit my favorite topic, black extraterrestrials. Okay, as in my last videos, I stated that these black extraterrestrials sit amongst us everywhere we go. Okay, let me pretty much define where I arrive at that statement. Well, we know for fact how old every being is on the planet, or do we? We don't. We don't. But scientists guesstimate the time when the Earth was habitable after their so-called Big Bang Theory. And this is why we still call it theory. All right? Because they can't say that they lied to you and said that it was a fact. Okay, so if we estimate from the time the Earth was habitable, then there should be some beings on the Earth that developed, and like us, human type beings, that should have a birth record. However, we know that every group, racially, hue-wise, color-wise, can be produced from the black man and black woman. Now let's look at the black man and black woman as a gene, or gene pool. So within the gene pool of the black man and black woman, we can produce every other color of people. From black, through to the brown, through to the red, through to the so-called, the yellow, to the white. Okay? So, we can do that with these two black beings. But can you do that with two white beings? You do that from the white gene, which is very lowly melanated. Can you still produce this black man from him? I really don't think so. You still have to have that dominant black gene to do that. So therefore, we know the black gene pool on the planet Earth is the most dominant gene pool in creation on this planet. Maybe there's more in creation on other planets, but on this planet, the black gene pool is the most dominant. And this is why I say we can put a black man or black woman with any other color people, Chinese, so-called Native American, which are black people actually, so that doesn't really prove anything. You put two black people, you're gonna get a black person. But we can put them with the white people, we can put them with the so-called yellow people or those type of Asians, and we'll get this black gene will always shine through. It will always dominate. Now, on the subject of black extraterrestrials, if it's so below, meaning here on the Earth, that we get this dominant melanated being that can produce the other groups or races or hues of beings, then it would be the same way in the cosmos. What would make the vacuum of space that much different that white beings would produce black beings? What would make these, white or so-called Caucasian type beings or Nordic type beings, what would make them dominant in space, where that they gene pool would produce the black beings? Have no proof for that. Just like we have no proof of the black man's beginnings on this planet. In my last video, I told you, we can go and say, oh, I've discovered this bipedal creature. We're going to call her Eve. She had to be where human beings come from. But at the same time, they're not slick. They know the black man was here first. This is a fact. This can't be refuted. There were no archaeological finds that predate the archaeological finds of black peoples on this planet. And I'm not small-minded saying, Africa. I'm saying this planet. There's a philosophy about who's God. And y'all brothers from the 5% Nation know this well. So if I don't say it right and exact, please forgive me. I don't have any cue cards or anything like that. I'm going from the dome. It says, who's God? Well, God is the maker, the owner, the cream of the planet Earth, father of civilization, God of the universe, the black man of Asia. That's who God is. Now, you can break that whole soliloquy or statement down, and I can tell you where every part of that is true. Now, we look at the so-called, and the reason why I say so-called Caucasian is because he actually derives from black people. He was brought to the Caucasus Mountains. He was brought to the mountainous regions over Africa. He didn't derive from that. He came from the black man and black woman. Some people say by way of experimentation by brother Dr. Yakub, but we know that Yakub really dedicated their thought process to them. He really gave them what we call that book of mathematics that they only had to rule this world out of the 59,999 other books of higher mathematics. The only book of mathematics that this particular person has is the book of tricknology. Yes, and that's what they do. They flip it. They trick you this way. After that trick ran out, they go back to the next trick. After that trick runs out, they go to the next trick. And when they get finished throwing these tricks, they flip them and give them back to you again, because remember, they always maintain that these 85% of the people are deaf, dumb, and blind, poison animal eaters. Yeah, that's how they do you. This is why you keep falling for it. So when we talking about black extraterrestrials, let's just think. If you wanted to hide a bald spot on a man's head or a person's head, they had a bald spot in one area, how would you hide it? Well, tricknology say you put a little patch of weave or something up there and you can hide it. But it's not going to be as natural. It's going to be very hard to bring it back to the natural state. But you know what you could do? You could simply shave all the hair off. Now everything is even. There's no oddity to it. It just looks like the guy got a bald head when he really has a bald spot. Okay, so how do you hide these extraterrestrial beings? You put them amongst a group of people that look like them. You see, these gray aliens and these, those type of beings, come on, man. We've all seen the old movie Cyborg. What was Cyborg about? We seen RoboCop. RoboCop was a cyborg. We saw the movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger when they came back to try to kill him and his mother. So he wouldn't be born. They sent a cyborg. So an intelligent race of people would not commit themselves to an atmosphere or a situation that would be negative to their living, negative to their being. Why not send a cyborg or some type of expendable being? Okay, even in the world wars, they put the black man on the front line to get killed, while the white man and these other men, and I'm not mad with them, but this is how they do. They put all these people who they believe to be non or lesser people on the front lines to get killed off, and they sit in the back of the battlefield giving their somewhat battle plan by way of radio or carrier pigeon or Morse code, but they don't expose themselves. They don't come over and say charge and all that like you see on TV. They send that from the rear, as they call it. What makes a higher intellectual being that can traverse stars, galaxies, can traverse the worlds, can traverse dimension, interdimension. What makes them that stupid that they always gotta put themselves at risk? But yet, when they talk about these angelic beings visiting people, these angelic beings look like men. So when you see these so-called gray aliens, there was a story where a Puerto Rican man was abducted, and he asked about the gray aliens that he met at first. And the black man that was on the ship that he was taking on told him, that's just something that we created so that we don't have to subject ourselves to your atmosphere. Really, what they saying, they don't want to subject themselves to our biological situation, which could be detrimental or just straight, it just could be dirty. Maybe they don't want to put themselves in the filth of our atmosphere that we created. But at the same time, they said they made these little gray dudes, or brown or green or whatever color they are, which are, let's give it a label. Those are no more than biological robots. They're expendable life beings created by another or higher life being. Okay? That's all it is. And you notice, they're always abducting white people. They mass abduct white people. Why is that? Man, come on. Why they don't mass abduct Chicago and get all the black people? New York and get all the black people? Washington, D.C., aka Dark City. Why they don't mass abduct Washington, D.C.? You know why? Because why would our people want to come get us like that unless we going home for real? You see, this is why this devil on this planet Earth, and we'll get to that devil statement, you know, but if the shoe fit, wear it. This is why they abduct this devil. They abduct him because when they come finally, they're going to get rid of them. And it's not going to be a long drawn out thing. It's going to be something of the sense of like when a ant is killed by a human being. It's not going to be a big thing. They'll push a button, they'll send out certain disease or bacilli, and it'll only attack those devils, those negative beings on the planet Earth. And I'm sorry, brothers and sisters, I love myself and I love you all. But some of us melanated beings going to have to go with that too. Because our mindset is of the devil. You're supposed to have the mindset of God, the God you are, and the God that you're supposed to worship. This ain't no joke. Nothing funny about this. So this is why they do that. And you know, you got scientists sitting around in laboratories trying to make diseases up that will attract themselves to certain groups of people, and then they can just kill them off and play the clean hands doctrine. There's no clean hands doctrine with that. The Most High sees and knows what you do, devil. So back to my subject, black extraterrestrials. So the analogy about the bald spot is very simple. Most of these black people on the planet Earth in our original state have no birth record on this planet. When we look at the book of Genesis, again, the Most High said he created man. And after he created that man, he placed him on the earth. That man made a man and placed that man in the garden. Right? Further, the man that was placed in the garden, he was formed from the dust of the ground, the low thing. This is why they don't want to find the Sasquatch, the Yeti, because they know that that's their ancestor. They rather give credit to him when they finally say, okay, we found the Bigfoot. They'll give the Bigfoot credit before they give the black man and woman credit. But the Bible says, honor thy father and mother. Sometimes we're not around. We never meet our fathers or mothers. So what do they really mean, since the Bible is a universal book? It means honor thy father of civilization and mother of civilization. Remember, when we say the black man is the maker, the owner, the cream of the planet Earth, father of civilization, they mean that he was not civilized. He brought civilization. He civilized everything around him. Naturally, if you look at our artwork and artifacts, you never find artwork and artifacts that depict us in so many negative ways. I'm not going to get all into that because those negative things are just my opinion and a video for another time. However, these melanated extraterrestrials, these black extraterrestrials, are actually the black man and woman on this planet's forefathers. This is why you can't find record of our birth here. We didn't derive from this planet, we own it. You see, this is why we're called the makers and the owners. We own this planet. And until these other people decide to stop trying to play the game, and before their time runs out, because we know and they know their time is out. It's just about over. The clock is ticking to the last few seconds. And what they need to do is make themselves right with God. But who's God? And they need to make themselves right with God's people. Who's God's people? Now we're going to call them extraterrestrials. Extraterrestrials. Really. Then we're going to call them black. But we know that we're really Asiatic people at least. Asiatic, because the whole planet was called Asia at one time. There's no such thing as a black man having chinky eyes. And there's no disrespect to Chinese people, but that's the term they use. There's no such thing as a black man looking like a white man or an Indian or a Caucasian or whatever they want to classify themselves. There's no such thing as that, because you don't look like your children. Your children look like you. You see, they look like us. The black man was the first man on the planet, and the first man with tight eyes, or eyes that look kind of slanted. Okay? The so-called, those particular people, no disrespect to the Chinese and the Koreans and the Japanese. Matter of fact, there was a famous Chinese scientist that gathered up as much DNA as he could in China from all the different provinces, and he wanted to find out where did his people come from. He said he thought that his people came from a hominid that lived in the mountains of China. Nah, that hominid is an original man on this planet. That's what is developing and what was developing before the original man came here. So he goes further and does his studies and find out that his race of people or group of people, their DNA is sub-Saharan African. And because he's a man of science, he bowed down to all his empirical evidence and says, he's happy to find out that his family comes from that part of the world and to know where he's from. But other people, they refuse, but yet they see the sightings of our people's planes all over the planet. They see them. They don't hide it in Mexico. They don't hide it in Europe. They hide it in America. Okay? They had a sighting of UFOs in Mexico, famous sighting around an eclipse. And the sighting had all these UFOs in the sky, and let's be real, they're not UFOs, they're IFOs. They identify, we know what they are. That's another game out of that book of tricknology that they have. And that's all they have. But this plane spell out 3 words. And you can look it up. Especially, you're on YouTube? That means you can look it up. The 3 words that those planes, those IFOs spelled out were Allah, the next word was Muhammad, and the next word was Jinnah. And don't be fooled, it didn't say jinn, it said Jinnah. Look it up, do your research. So these black people on the planet, these are the descendants of the original people who are extraterrestrial, as you call them, your so-called Anunnaki. There are some white ones, but remember, anytime we go within ourselves, we can pull out any color person we want. That's what I started out with. But I'm going to tell you, this message is for all that could understand, coming from your man, your brother, Starcrrest The G. The Bible says, look forward not to the coming of the Son of God, but look forward to the coming of the Son of Man, for he comes from the east. Now let me break that down before I give you my final salutations. That simply means when the man, black people, that were brought from the east here in the West America, wake up and come into knowledge of themselves and know who they are and know the power we possess, that's the day when we'll be free. That's the day we should look forward to. But again, no disrespect. I'm telling you in so many words, they already know. Us as black people on this planet are the extraterrestrials. And the extraterrestrials are, our people are coming and grabbing these people at will, putting chips in their bodies just like you would do an animal. To watch their every move, because he knows how slick this devil is. He knows he'll go under the ground. He knows he got secret caves. He knows he has nuclear weapons. He knows he has re-engineered flying saucers. That's nothing. When they start making material and matter from thought, when it's formed perfect and they can walk through the walls of this particular thing that they created, then we gotta look out. They don't have nothing like that. But yet they say ours are metal. Again, do your research, my folks. This is your brother again signing off, telling you, y'all black people are the real extraterrestrials. And don't let nobody say they told you first. This is Starcrrest The G saying peace and love. Peace and love, folks.